Apologized yesterday after saying that he did not see racism in the NFL. Fangio said that after discussing it with players and other coaches, he realized he had made a mistake and he should have been more clear with his comments. So, Shannon, do you like his apology?
I do. I'm glad he apologized, Skip. I don't know Coach Fangio. All I know is he coached the Denver Broncos, so I don't know him like I would know Mike Shanahan, one of my previous coaches, or Dan Reeves, Wade Phillips, or Brian Billick. But I think it was the right thing to do. And see, a lot of times, Skip, this is the problem. Because it has not happened to them, they don't well, it didn't happen. It doesn't exist. You see, they say the locker rooms are a microcosm of society. So therefore, if there's racism in society and the locker room is a microcosm of that, shouldn't it exist? Skip, something just happened just a week ago. The Rooney Rule. They added you had to interview more minorities. What was that about, Skip? The adage that blacks can't be quarterbacks because they can't process information fast enough. They can't think on their feet. Was that about talent? What was that about? Come on, Coach Fangio. Because you have not experienced something does not mean it does not exist. And I think the thing is that, yes, the players talk to him. Don't need to get into specifics, but I know for a fact some of his black players were very upset that he said what he said. Now is not the time for you to say, well, the locker room is a safe haven. No, it's not. I think the difference is, Skip, between a locker room and society is that in a locker room, people generally go for the same common goal. And I'm willing to overlook some of the things because winning the Lombardi seems to be more important. But what guys are seeing now, what we're starting to see from a lot of athletes now, especially in the 2000s, Skip, is that not only are they morally conscious, they're socially conscious. So they're not like, yeah, we want to win the Super Bowl, but we don't want unarmed black men and women getting killed in these streets either. So there's a difference now, Skip, because we understand in the 60s, Skip, at the height of the civil rights, there were a lot of blacks that was willing to take on certain issues. But the money from endorsements was not nearly like it is now, Skip. You got guys making 50, 60, 70, 80 million dollars in endorsements. And guys are like willing to I don't care. That's wrong. And I'm going to speak out against it. So I'm glad Coach Fangio, he apologized. Hopefully now will his actions back up his apology. Because a lot of times, Skip, this issue, okay, here you go. And that doesn't match up with things that it should to show that you are apologetic. Are you sincerely sorry that you said what you said, or are you doing it because of the backlash that came with it? Only time will tell. But I am glad that he issued the apology, and hopefully it has some teeth, and he'll put his actions to where his words are.
So, to your point about the Rooney Rule, the painful irony of Vic Fangio's initial comment is that, to me, from my point of view, he is in some ways a product of the racism that still exists in the National Football League.
Yes.
At age 60, he's now 61, but at age 60, he got hired by John Elway to be the head coach of the Denver Broncos. Now, they just had for 2 years a younger African-American head coach, Vance Joseph.
Correct.
Who started at 45 and coached for 45 and 46. Yet, as we just saw in the recent hiring cycle, we struck out. And we're down to Mike Tomlin, Anthony Lynn, Brian Flores. And I'm pretty sure, am I missing anybody? I think that's all that's left. African-American.
Correct.
Ron Rivera Menor.
Marty.
Okay? So we got 4, but we have 3 African-American. 32 teams. It's not good enough. And again, to your point, there was a movement afoot to how can we fix this? And some of the black coaches were split. Tony Dunn, the ex-black coaches, were split about this. John Wooten, my friend who ran the Rooney Rule for years, he was for some sort of incentive base. He said, we went from penalizing to let's try incentives. Whatever, like it's desperation at this point to try to fix the problem. Well, Fangio got a job at age 60, and it was his first head coaching job in his career. And he paid a lot of dues, we give him that. Worked his way, it started in 1994 as an assistant coach with the Saints, worked his way up the ladder. So it wasn't like he just came from nowhere, like a guy named Matt Rule, who just sort of came from nowhere at Baylor, and all of a sudden he gets a whole lot of money to coach the Carolina Panthers. after he coached at Temple and Baylor.
Or Cliff Kingsbury,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
but
there's one.
Yeah,
Okay.
we get your point, though.
Who was sub 500
Yeah.
as a college coach. That's a good one. So, again, that's tone deaf to me.
Yes.
Where Fangio says, well, I don't see any racism. And look, I'll give him this, and you would, I think, agree with the point. We have come a long way in the locker room. There was once upon a time where not just black quarterbacks, but black players did not get the same opportunity. I'm going back a ways.
Yeah.
Did not get the same opportunity to win jobs as white players.
Yeah, Skip, blacks were not allowed to play in the NFL.
Yeah, okay.
And it wasn't until Preston Marshall told the rest